is up, viewers? It's Matthew Hixon, owner of Gamers Glorified, current head esports coach for Kishwaukee College, and gamer tag under the name of 99centMcFury. Thank y'all for tuning in to Gamers Glorified TV for some esports talk. I'm gonna start doing these Sunday, between 6 p.m. 6:30, depending on how my day goes for the most part. Um, just to talk about esports. If you have any questions on the coaching side, competitive side, gaming side, anything, and just to come hang out, have good conversation, get to know my viewers better, get to know myself better, and all. And so, welcome. So, with this being my first one, I just pretty much want to talk about, my upbringing as a player, where that started, where my grassroots started, where the name 99 Cent McFury comes from. Most who don't know me outside of Florida doesn't really know. So I'm now located in Illinois, been here since 2010. So people who know me now pretty much just know me from what I do in the past, from the past, would say 10 years or so. But from 99 all the way up to 2009, that's a little bit of my upbringing and my peak point on my competitive side scene. So I'll get started with that. So born in England, dad was in the Air Force, got stationed out there. And then when he retired, we ended up moving out to Florida. I'm the oldest of three, two younger brothers, one based out in California right now, other one's in Orlando, Florida. Been playing games since the age of 6, 7, 8. My competitive upbringing, I started from 1999 all the way up until 2009. I would say probably 2007 was where I was really the most competitive at. I still competed in 07, 08, and 09, but I wasn't winning as much. I was just doing it because that's what I love to do. My peak games that I were competing in, where I was doing the most of my winning and what I'm known for is anything Street Fighter based, all the way up to Third Strike, and then the crossover games like X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Capcom vs. SNK, Capcom vs. SNK 2. Didn't really dilly dabble in Mortal Kombat or like King of Fighters. Got into Tekken a little bit as well. But at the time, you only had to play what was being played and held at like the arcade scene and stuff like that. So for the most part, I've been playing arcades for a lot. That's how I really got good at what I did. One of the it all started from Jacksonville, Florida, is where I raised. So the Avenues Mall, Dream Machine is the arcade that was there at the time. My first job was at the Avenues Mall, Big Easy Cajun. Shout out to my good friend, brother Chris Touch. Got me my first job there. He's also a gamer. That's where it all started. From there, I would leave where I was working at in the food court and go straight to the Dream Machine at the Avenues Mall. So this is the front entrance. You would walk in here. You go to the left, it'd be the food court. Go to the right, it'd be the food court. But as soon as you walk towards the right, you would see the Dream Machine. And I would always play there a lot. They had some of the popular games there was Virtual On. If y'all remember that, they actually had the arcade area where you can sit down and you move the joysticks and everything like that. Mortal Kombat. They had Mortal Kombat 2. They had X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men for Street Fighter, Marvel Super Heroes for Street Fighter. Played all those. Competitive scene wasn't that big at the time. Esports wasn't coined esports back then. There was no real term for it. People just playing competitively, even though it was casual, it was still competitive. For those who remember, it was back in the day when you put your quarter right on top of the machine, right below the display screen and above the actual joystick and buttons, right where like the command list for certain players would be. You would put your coin there. Sometimes you would walk in, it'd be like 3 or 4 coins there. You'd be like, man, so you gotta wait 3 or 4 matches. and just keep count. We would do heads, tails, head, tails, that type of thing. But back then, that's how you knew you had next. You know, um, couldn't just keep constantly playing. You put a quarter there, like that means I got next player. You lost, my go. Sometimes you have to check some people because they don't understand that for the most part. They just thought like, what? Why are you putting a quarter there? Just letting you know that's my spot that I reserve for next. Um, but yep, that's where it all started. Avenues Mall. Um, there were other malls in that area. But I remember when they got Marvel vs. Capcom 1, the very first one, and I was like, oh, they finally really, really got it right, you know? And that game itself drove a lot of revenue over the weekend. Over the weekend, it made like a few grand in quarters easily. I remember talking to one of the people that worked there. He was like, dude, you don't understand, like, money this thing would make alone on itself. It drove, the revenue there and the people that would come and play. Um, so that's how that was going for the Avenues Mall. That was one. Certain malls had certain games that would cater to certain players. The Dream Machine didn't have any Tekken players because they didn't have any Tekken machines there. The one place that did have Tekken for the most part was Orange Park Mall. That was in Orange Park, Florida. And you walk in here, Blue Court, of course, and the place was called Aladdin's Castle. So that's where all the Tekken players were housed at. So if you wanted to learn Tekken, you would go there for the most part. And the demographic there was pretty much a mixed crowd to be in Florida. But a lot of like Filipinos and Khmer players, they would be housed there. That's where they would go to play. Um, Avenues Mall, it was a melting pot of everything: black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all the above. But for the most part, like the Asian community held down Orange Park Mall and the Tekken. So if you want to learn how to play Tekken, that's where you went. And there was Regency Mall. That's kind of classified as the hood mall type of thing. And that actually, I can't remember the name of their arcade place. I want to say like the Coin or something like that. I can't remember. Um, that was a melting pot as well. That had everything. It had a Tekken, Marvel vs. Capcom, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters. It had everything. And that's where the hangout spot was. Like you would kick it and stuff like that. As far as the fighting game side, they would all go there for the most part. But it was great, man. And then there was also, if you went towards the beach, there was one of my favorite places, Adventure Landing. Um, and that was just people would just hang out. People would usually just go for the water park, which is great. Oh my gosh, it's great. Um, but players played there too, and it wasn't really too much of a competitive side. That was the place you went to when you wanted to learn how to play because the demographic was more catered towards like little kids and teenagers, for the most part. So if you wanted to learn how to play a certain game that wasn't out on like a video game console yet, it was all arcade based. Like you would go to Adventureland to play because there would be no competition. There would be a few people here and there, but none of the heavy hitters went here to compete. So if you wanted to get into Tekken, go to Orange Park Mall. So all the heavy hitters were at for the most part. Regency Mall, Melting Pot, all the heavy hitters were there. And then the Avenues Mall was where like the Capcom players and stuff like that. And mind you, all these malls were in like you can get to each and every one of them probably within like half an hour. So it wasn't that back then. It seemed like a far drive, but it wasn't that far of a drive. So you would start here. You'd be like, oh, ain't nobody here. I'm gonna hit up Regency. Like, where's everybody at? There was no Discord. There was no social media back then. So you just kind of had to rotate. You had to drive there. There were players there. Okay, yo, that's where everybody at. You didn't go there. Saturdays you'd go somewhere else. Saturdays you'd be like, Orange Park Mall popping. Yo, everybody's playing Tekken 4. We out there. All right, bet. I'm gonna be there. That type of thing. And then Regency Mall. And that was the arcade scene in Jacksonville, Florida. There was other spots. It's like putt putt golf, but as far as like when you want to get better, that type of thing, those were the three spots that you would go to. And then if you got really good, your name started to take travel. And that's how I got known. Like I was known in Jacksonville, Florida, Tampa, Orlando. I almost got down to Miami. Had a guy from Fort Lauderdale came up to play me some third strike. And they were like, I heard you from such and such, such and such, such. You know, that's how it was back then. That's how you made names for yourself. And your name traveled to different cities and playing other players and beating them and that as well. Um, as far as Orlando, it was the Florida Mall. That's where players would go to. Here, you would walk in, you would walk up here, you go right past Ruby Tuesdays, Ruby Tuesdays, and then around the corner would be the arcade spot. That one, they really the only one that was really there that was known to my knowledge was there was Tekken. They didn't have Marvel vs. Capcom one. They had two. Then they had Project Justice. I was really good at that. At that time, it came out on Dreamcast. Um, and they were playing Project Justice. From there, I didn't know they had an arcade cabinet because I was playing it on Dreamcast when it released. So to see that on arcade and people playing it, they were actually like good. I was like, every time I come out here, I need to play this game, and that's what I did. And I got recognized that way. And I didn't have a gamer tag back then. I was only known for it just either said your last name, like Hixon, and then you had to attach your last name with the game that you associated with. And that's how they recognize you. Like, Matt? I'm like, Matt? No, he plays Street Fighter, Third Strike, Dudley player. Oh yeah, you're from Jacksonville? Yeah, I know who that is. That's how you kind of associate yourself because gamer tags wasn't a big thing back then, at least not in Florida. Um, so it was your first or last name, and then the game that you related to that you pretty much kicked butt in to relate to. Mine was anything Capcom based. It would just say Street Fighter. It didn't matter what it was: Street Fighter Third Strike, Alpha, X-Men versus Street Fighter, anything. They were like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The middle brother, he was good at Tekken, so he was known for Tekken. He's beast in Tekken. My younger brother, Jordan, he got the best of both worlds. He was my training dummy at the time when I wanted to try out something, but didn't want to do it on CPU because they don't respond or react the way you want them to. Like he would be the one. And then he actually got good because he was playing me and he was playing the middle brother, Michael. So he had the best of both worlds. See, he was a sleeping giant. I really feel like if he got into the competitive scene, he probably would have been he probably would have made it farther than me, myself, and the middle brother. The middle brother didn't compete as often like I did, because he was doing his own thing for the most part, and he went off to college right at the age of, I think, 18, right after he graduated high school, whatnot. Me, I wasn't really in a hurry. I stayed at my mom's house and just traveled and did my gaming thing and started winning competitions that way. But my youngest one, Jordan, he was there, so he had the best of both worlds. Like if he really would have focused on that, I honestly would have believed he would have made it. He'd have been like very, very competitive and probably did better than me and the middle one, my middle brother, if he decided to go that route. Um, but yeah, those were the main spots. That's as far as I go, as far as my grassroots, as far as places. There were other spots like bars and like when the competitive scene started, like your typical game stores. Like back then, it was Electronic Boutique. Could have been like Guerrilla Games or even KB Toy Store, Toys R Us, whatever. For the most part, like our GameStop now. Back then, it wasn't GameStop. It was Electronic Boutique. And depending on where you're at, there was some other local gaming. spots, and they would host tournaments, and I would win those pretty much. And it's not like now where you get like thousands of dollars prize pots. They wasn't doing that back then. Like you were getting like 50 to 100, maybe $200, and then like a gift card to the gaming store or whatnot. Um, and then there was no track record or anything. Um, because of the internet, whatever. You can right now, because of Smash GG, you can have a track record and stuff. But from like 99 to like 2009, 10, maybe 11, wasn't that many platforms that were keeping track of competitive fighting game, because that's what I was in. I don't know about the other games that they were doing in as far as like the PC games and stuff like that. I wasn't into that. But as far as the fighting game community, there wasn't really any known track record of that, at least not in Florida area. You but yeah, that's as far as my grassroots go from where I started. Um, Becoming a competitive fighter. My games, my titles, like I said, was anything Capcom based related. FIFA the Third Strike. Um, I would say Alpha 3, Capcom vs SNK 1, Capcom vs SNK 2, SNK versus Capcom Chaos, if I remember. That wasn't nobody really playing it like that. Um, Marvel's Capcom 1, Marvel's Capcom 2. But the two games that I was known for, and I played Tekken 4 also, um, just because that's where the community was. So you kind of have to play to what people are playing. And I was like, all right, I'll play Tekken. I've been playing Tekken 3 since I played all the Tekkens. But I played Tekken 3 back when I don't know if it was EGM or Game Pro, one of the gamer magazines. It came with the demo of Tekken 3 where you had three characters to play with: Lei Wulong, Eddie Gordo, and I want to say Paul Phoenix were the three, or was it Law? Can't remember. There's only a handful of players. Um, but I played those for the most part. And when Tekken 4 came out, that was really something else because, like I said, the Avenues Mall didn't have it. You had to go to Orange Park Mall. They had the Tekken, and that was it. That was a good Tekken 4 had a really good one. But yeah, that between '99 and 2009, that was my competitive side. I've totaled out, I would say anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000 total. Yeah, between that time period, and that's a lot. Like I would be competing in something like every weekend if I wasn't, working or doing anything else. But I even kind of traveled a little bit within the surrounding cities, like Orlando for the most part. Um, and then there were some bars, local bars that would host it in my area. Um, but that wasn't until like Street Fighter 4 came out. That's when like the bars and stuff were hosting it. You could just hook up Xbox at the time, and they would do my local bars and stuff like that. But for the most part, '99 through 2009 is that was like the golden age of fighting games. It was so many of them. They were all so good, and that community was very, very strong and open-hearted back then. We welcomed anybody who wanted to play, even if you were just a beginner, like someone would see potential in something, um, based off of your play style and everything like that. So it was really, really good, man. It was good. That community was just great times, man. I got stories for days. I'll probably talk about that on another stream. Um, it was good stuff. So as far as my gamer tag, I'll talk about that a little bit before I end this stream to start off with. Where 99 Cent McFury came from was pretty much back when PlayStation 2 was released, Tekken 4 got released on PS2. Um, my brother was in college. He was dorming at UNF, University of North Florida. I was gonna go check out his dorm. He's like, dude, I got PS2, Tekken 4. As soon as I got out of class, I'm about to break it in. I'm like, bet. He didn't say nothing but a word. So I went to his dorm because I couldn't, of course, be in class with him. So went to the dorm. I was actually went to McDonald's, got a McFlurry, which was 99 cents at the time, and was at his dorm setting up his PS2. Had to create a PSN account. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, let me come up with a name. I wasn't gonna put my first and last name. You don't want to do that. I was like, man, let me come up with a gamer tag or something. And at the time, I was eating a McFlurry that was 99 cents. When Tekken 4 came out, when it was on arcades, I made Brian Fury. I just put them all together. I was like, I'm eating a 99-cent McFlurry. Brian Fury is my favorite character in Tekken 4. 99-cent McFury. Yep. That's how I came out. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of dope. Stuck with it. Kept with it. Everything I started competing in, boom, kept it. 99-cent McFury. And that was the time where I was like, I've already feel like I've not mastered, but I was at like my peak point in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. All the other Capcom games, like I felt like, okay, I don't think I can get better because I have no reason to get better because I was like in the top. So I was like, all right, I don't need to play this anymore. I need something else that I want to work on and grind and get better at. And Tekken 4 was the game. So I was playing Brian Fury. And I just put the two together, 99-cent McFury. And it's stuck ever since. And I play Tekken, but I don't play it like that anymore for the most part. But I used to compete in Tekken 4, and that was the tournaments that they were doing a lot of now. And to a point where like some of the local clubs, it was the Roxy. The Roxy, it's not there anymore. But for those who are watching this and as old as I am, they know about the Roxy. But there was a tournament at the Roxy, and it's a Tekken 4 tournament, and I lost to a Nina Williams player. And for those who play Tekken 4 and remember Tekken 4, you know why I lost to Nina Williams. Up forward, I don't know if it was a 2, whatever, this chopping move that she would constantly. OP. Um, and then the Yoshimitsu. OP too. Then there were infinites in that game. Once I figured that out, even though Brian was my favorite character, I used to win with Lee a lot. And the Cage Arena, there's an infinite. You just do is 1-2 dash, 1-2 dash, 1-2 dash. You can carry them across the whole arena because it was like an octagon. So they would just bounce off the gate and you would just carry him, carry him, carry him, carry him, carry him. And then Jin Kazama, they banded him in tournaments in Tekken 4. That was the first one, the first tournament I've ever seen where they banded characters other than Akuma back in Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2 days. Um, but yeah, I won a few in Tekken. I never really placed. I think I won like maybe once or twice, three the most, first place in Tekken, but I was always in top three. Um, then I started fading out back when Street Fighter 4 came out. Reason being is because I played it in PS4, not PS4, PS3, and all the tournaments were on Xbox, and converters weren't as convenient as they are now. So I was like, I don't have an Xbox. I had an arcade stick, but I wasn't full capacity on arcade stick. So I was competitive in that, and then I slowly I couldn't win that because I couldn't FADC combos, FADC combos, like I couldn't master that. And that was a big thing in Street Fighter 4 that differentiated between here and here as far as tiers. So I would always go like 4-2, 3-2, 5-2. I would always lose to the players I was supposed to lose because when it came to like the training aspect, training all day, I can FADC combos all day. But when it came down to when it counted in a match, I would drop it or like I would get nervous for whatever reason. And I'm like, can we go back to third strike, please? Like, that type of thing. But I enjoyed it for the most part. Um, and yeah, 2009, 2010 was when I was like, oh, I'm done. I can't no more. Got a little girl at that time. Like I can't. I just do it for fun now. So, but that's a little bit of my background as far as the competitive side, my grassroots and everything. Um, Now I'm actually an actual esports coach. And I do education, esports educating for I do gaming camps for the youth, that type of thing. Um, but that is for another time. So thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to tune in on Sundays. I'm gonna try to do this every Sunday, um, between 6 p.m., 7 p.m., that type of thing. I have some topics, and based off the people that join, if they got any questions, anything you want me to talk about, gaming wise, competitive wise, tips, stay tuned for some of my videos. I'm gonna be doing more of that. Um, Look at my previous videos. I've done one on checking your emotions to become a better player, and just simple tips to become a better esports player in general. So thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to join me for the next one. This is Matthew Hixon, aka 99centMcFury, and I'm out. Peace.